welcome to episode 3 of TEACHmas. This is my take on Vlogmas, where the aim is that either I, you, or the horses learn something. Today we are going to go through debunking some dressage jargon. I think it's jargon. Okay, so before we get started, we need to wait for it to lighten up because it's not even 7 a.m. yet. So we're going to get ponies done and I will see you on board, Maggie. So, daylight has finally arrived, although it's not long arrived, and it's, what time is it? 20 past 8. Today we are debunking a lot of dressage terms because everybody likes to make it seem terribly complicated, and actually in my opinion it's not. Quick disclaimer, I am not a top level dressage rider. Maggie is not a top level dressage horse, nor is she in particularly high level of schooling at the moment because she's just been on her holiday. However, lateral work and the likes, everybody can do. Red, my baby 4-year-old, he is starting to do that now, and it should begin right from the base levels all the way up, because yes, your lateral movements in a test don't come until you're doing a higher level, but the actual training of the lateral movement is crucial when you are training your horse, because you need to have the ability to move your horse more than just put your leg on, it goes faster. So lateral work, as it sounds, is moving laterally, which is side to side. So that can be flexing your horse's body one way or the other, and it can be moving their quarters or shoulders one way or another. And the different names just means the different combinations of bend and track changes. Now, me not being a top level rider, obviously I'm not going to ride these movements perfectly because I've not done it to that standard yet. However, I have got my Pony Club A test where I had to ride all of these moves on a horse, well, 5 different horses that I'd never ridden before during my test, and explain them. So I feel confident enough to explain this to you guys so that you can go and have a play. And then if you want to, once you understand the theory of it, go and watch it done really, really well. Go and watch somebody like Becky Moody, because she does it beautifully. To start off, I've not warmed up, we've literally just hopped on. I hope you appreciate the festivities. We're trying to keep with it, even though Amber's not here. Initially, I need to explain a little bit about the bend and your tracks. Hopefully we stand square-ish or straight enough. Okay, so when I'm talking about tracks, you can have 2 tracks, just waiting for the wind, 3 tracks or 4 tracks. And what I mean by that is whether your hind legs are following the front legs. So if the hind legs are following directly behind the front legs, technically you should only have 2 tracks. You shouldn't be able to see the hind legs behind the front legs. And I've put white boots on her front legs to hopefully demonstrate this, okay. When you go to 3 tracks, what it then means, are you gonna help us out, Maggie? Let's just move your front legs over just a little. Whoop. It's all right, good girl. What that should mean is you should be able to see this hind leg here. Her front leg should be blocking the view of the left hind, the other hind leg, and then her other front leg should be on a track. So there is 3 tracks to be seen. If we are drawing a line from her legs, if she was walking, trotting, cantering, there would be 3 tracks drawn in the sand. So now 4 tracks, you've got a choice. Either you increase the angle. Ooh, good girl. Okay, so you increase the angle. So her hind legs are on their own tracks and her front legs are on their own tracks there. So we'd be drawing 4 lines in the sand. Or you decrease the angle. So ooh, that's going to be harder because it's a little bit more precise. Ooh. So we can see, good girl. You can see 4 legs still, but it goes hind leg, front leg, hind leg, front leg. So I hope that makes a little bit of sense before we begin, because that will make a difference how many tracks we're on and what direction. So if that makes sense, when I'm drawing a line in the sand, if I'm riding in a straight line, we should be on 2 tracks only. The hind legs should follow the front legs. That doesn't matter if we're going around a circle, riding a straight line down the centre line. Doesn't matter, the hind legs should follow the front legs. When I start going on to lateral work, I will start saying we want to be on 4 tracks, 3 tracks, or whatever. And it depends on the angle and the direction. The other thing that I then need to explain is, because the lateral work tends to be a combination of your tracks and bend, a common misconception when you're starting is that bend is just in the neck. Bend is not just in the neck, it is whole body, it is nose to tail. So me just doing this is not proper bend. That's me like flexing her neck. You're a good girl. Whole body bend should start from the leg, and it does actually bring us on to one of the terms that we're going to discuss. So you should be able to put your inside leg on and bring it to the outside rein for support and outside leg for support. You imagine that your outside rein and outside leg is like a bungee, and your inside leg and a little bit of inside rein, but bear in mind we're not warmed up, you should be able to do a give and retake as you ask for this. And what should happen is you should have a banana curve around your inside leg. If you were viewing us
from bird's eye view,
I would hope that you would see a lovely smooth curve all the way to the inside. Now you can do that to the inside, but not only can you do it to the inside, but you can also do it to the outside. So this is already the beginnings of your lateral work, because you are starting to move your horse's body round. To explain one of the questions I had, which is what is inside leg to outside rein, it is your way of riding that once you've got the basics, you then want to learn the feel of, and that is one of the things with dressage. It's wonderful once you get it, but until you've got the feel, it's quite hard. So you need to find yourself a trainer who can help tell you what to do and then tell you when you're in the right positioning so you can learn what that feel is. But inside leg goes on, and then you catch it with the outside hand so you don't fall out or go into a leg yield out, for example, in order to be able to support and balance your horse. Your outside rein, outside leg is the horse's stabilizers and balance, not the inside rein. You should be able to give that at any point if you've got your schooling to a good standard. And the inside leg is the thing that pushes the body out and up. While I get her going in the trot, I'm just going to explain. I had a question on how to know your diagonal. So first of all, let's explain the diagonal of the trot. The diagonal is what order I'm rising in. So you have 2 choices when you're in trot, really. You can rise on this diagonal, or I can sit for 2 and rise on this diagonal. Now, being on the correct diagonal can help your horse's balance. I've just changed to the wrong diagonal, and I can feel a difference in Maggie's balance. So I'm going to change it back, sit for 2, and then like this. So the idea of the diagonal is you can choose how you see it. For me, I view it as I go up as her outside front leg goes forwards. So every time this left fore goes forwards, I ride, and then I sit as it comes back. Now, when you're starting to learn it, you probably want to have a look down and watch the shoulder, and that's a good way because you can go, her shoulder's coming back, I'm sitting, yeah? But you don't want to be in your dressage test looking down doing that. So once you can do that, you then have to use your mind's eye to feel where that is. And what I'll often do when I'm teaching is we'll let you start looking initially, and then at the point that I think you're ready, I'll make you close your eyes, and then you can feel it really well, and you'll just be able to start to feel if they're in balance or not. Now we've done the basics. Obviously, initially, leg and rein means forwards and back. Rein means stop, leg means go. We now want to teach them that it means more than that. It can mean side to side too. So your lateral work you can do in any pace. There's certain paces each of them get done in your test, but that doesn't mean that you can't do it in walk, trot or canter anyway for training. Let's look at leg yield first, because that's the one that gets done most often. That's what's quite universally used. So leg yield is a combination of traveling sideways and forwards at the same time. So what you are meant to do is have your bend in the direction away from where you are moving, and your shoulders are supposed to lead. So you move sideways, shoulders first, bending away from the direction of the movement. So the easiest way to start that, which loads of people do, is a leg yield returning to the track. So I will turn down the 3/4 line, I will start my straight line, and then I will use my inside leg just to push her across. Now, if you were to do a leg yield away from the track, you would then need to get your outside bend ready to go away from the track. Outside bend. It's very easy to get too much bend or let the horse go through the shoulder too much, but just play with it. Practice supporting down the outside rein. So, left bend, move across. So there, she went a little bit too much through her shoulder, but that's okay. We're just training and practicing. Good girl. Okay, because I'm not on the most high-tech microphones, I'm going to stand and explain this to you and then video it. Hello up there, Mr. Plane. He's obviously come to watch us, eh, Max? He's come to get our views of whether our bend is correct or not. Anyway, back to the job in hand. So I hope that made sense with leg yielding. Obviously, the better you do it, has more consistent positioning, the right amount of angle, the shoulder slightly in front, but you have the crossing over of the legs. But just build it up, play with it to start off with. Next, we're going to do shoulder fore and shoulder in. So it's the same principles, they're the same thing, but if we return to our discussion about the tracks, it's different amounts of tracks. So, as the name suggests, shoulder in wants to leave your hind legs on the track and bring the shoulders into the inside. So, with shoulder in, that's your bigger angle. So you would be leaving the hind legs on the track and you would be moving your horse onto 3 tracks, where your inside front leg is on its own track. The outside front leg would be in front of the inside hind leg, and the outside hind leg would be on its own track on the outside. Shoulder fore is a smaller angle than that, so it would be on a 4 tracks, where you would go inside front leg, inside hind leg, outside front leg, outside hind leg. We've discussed the tracks for your shoulder in, so it's not actually a massive angle. What you also need with your shoulder in is a slight bend, and you want a body bend to the inside. So if you're doing shoulder in right, you would want the right foreleg furthest in, and you would want a slight body bend to the right. It's very easy to end up with too much body bend, where you just bend the neck and the legs stay on the track. So that's where it's important to do your shoulder fore and the likes and get a little bit and then build up to a little bit more. Now, if you want to train your horse's flexibility, you can ask for a much bigger angle, but that's obviously not what you would ride for in the test. And in order to get this, you're using your inside leg, little bit of inside rein for inside bend, and then you are using your outside leg, outside rein to push them over, to push the shoulders over. But you want that inside leg there, 1, maintaining the bend, and 2, maintaining that the hind leg can stay on the track. So best way to start it off is to do a little circle and then carry on from the positioning that your circle's given you onto the track. Next thing is Travers, and I'm going to jump that in with Renvers as well. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Travers. I think it's Travers. I've always said it like that. Anyway, it's a full body bend basically. So it's on a bigger angle than shoulder in and shoulder fore. So you're on 4 tracks, but it's basically full body bend with their haunches in. So bottom in for Travers. So you want to be bend to your inside with it, so bending left on the left rein, but you want them to bend so far around your inside leg that their bottom is on its own track on the inner track, okay? So you would have the front legs on the outer track, the hind legs on the inner track with a continuous body bend. Renvers is simply the opposite. It is the continuous body bend with the hind legs on its own track, but it's to the outside, okay? So Travers is to the inside, and we do it full body bend to the inside with the hind legs on the inner track. Renvers is a full body bend to the outside with the hind legs on the outer track, front legs on the inner track. Next thing to go through is half pass. So once you've got the knack of your leg yield and your Travers, you are then going to add leg yield plus Travers to make half pass. So Travers is a full body bend to the inside. So the easiest way that I know to do it is something like a 10-meter circle back to the track. That puts you in your Travers positioning and you're in the body bend to head back towards the track. You then use your sideways movement of leg yield, but with the new bend of Travers, to move sideways, returning to the track. Maggie's not done much of this, so it's not perfect, but it's getting there, and it's still all moving towards the ability to make her more supple and more balanced, which helps her in her dressage tests. The last thing I'm going to go through with you, the last movement, is I'm going to do a quarter walk pirouette. I am also going to go through the canter pirouette, but Maggie's done enough for today, so I'm not going to show you. Your canter pirouette is basically Travers on a circle, collect until they're doing Travers on their hind leg and not actually doing a big circle. But to do a working canter pirouette would to be simply to put the quarters in, have the body bend to the inside and work around the hind leg as you go around the circle. You're a good girl. Which we do quite a lot of to warm up for jumping, actually, to get the hind leg stepping underneath. Walk pirouette, the idea is that the hind legs continue marching in place while the front legs march around. And I think is it 3 steps I think you're meant to do for a good walk pirouette. You have a slight inside bend, but I do find it easier to try and keep a slightly straighter neck initially when you're doing it. That just helps you nudge the shoulders around, and then once you've got good at that, you do it. All of these I wouldn't be afraid of, just to have a try and find where you think your buttons are and then work with your coach on them. It's great for the horses. Okay, there we go. I hope that helped as I do a stretchy trot to cool Maggie off. I'll just go through the one last bit. So someone said, what does leg to hand mean? Leg to hand basically means that you don't get an outline by pulling their head in. You do it by driving their leg forwards from the hind leg, putting the power in, and then your rein and seat contains the front end rather than just yanking their nose in. So I hope that very brief explanation, you put the leg on, you put the power in, and then your hand is there to help support and contain it. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you so much for watching. I will be back very soon with another episode of Vlogmas, and make sure to like and subscribe. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.